Welcome back to Without Shortcuts. Today we are looking at the top 10 essential pieces of kitchen equipment that you need.
Now, while this is a top 10 countdown, there's one thing that would make you absolutely number one, and that's reaching down and liking this video and subscribing to the channel right now.
So this is another one of those things that apparently if you have a cooking channel on YouTube, you have to do a top 10 list of kitchen essentials. So this is our kind of arbitrary list of the 10 things that we, with the cooking that we do, kind of use the most, and the things that we think if you're just starting out with cooking, these are the pieces of equipment that you're going to need to kind of get your kitchen set up.
Now, while this is a top 10 list and we're going to go in order from 10 to 1, number 10 through number 2 are not necessarily in order because they're all kind of synergistic and work together, and you really need them. They're all really important. But number 1 is definitely number 1. It's the most important thing you need. You can't make it through your cooking experience without this one piece. So you have to stay tuned to find out exactly what that is.
So with that being said, let's get started.
First thing on our list is definitely going to be the measuring utensils. Now, we recognize that this is not one item, so we're already kind of deviating from our own idea behind this video. But when it comes to baking especially, but even for cooking and being able to replicate your dishes, you need to know how much of which ingredients is going in so that you can be consistent in your cooking over the long term.
The first thing that we're going to start off over on that end is a good set of measuring spoons. Now you'll find them in all kinds of different groupings. At the bare minimum, you want something that's got a tablespoon, a teaspoon, a half teaspoon, and a quarter teaspoon. You could do just about anything with those four. If you find something for a reasonable price that has more than that, go for it.
After the measuring spoons, you obviously have to have a good set of measuring cups. These are just going to be a little bit higher volume than the spoons, obviously. You're going to use those primarily for dry ingredients. We definitely recommend looking for something in the stainless steel category because if you get them that way, as long as you're not losing them somewhere or leaving them in your flour bin, they should stick around forever, and hopefully you never have to replace those.
So the next thing that we're looking at is these Pyrex measuring glasses. Like Doug said, the measuring cups are for doing dry ingredients. You're going to use these for doing all of your liquid measuring. Now, if you're only going to buy one, start with the 2 cup. It's probably the most versatile. And then from there, having a 1 cup is nice for doing smaller measurements. Going up to the 4 cup is good for some recipes, like if you're doing custards and things. If you get all the way up to the 8 cup, at that point you're just kind of showing off.
And along the lines of showing off, we come to the scale. You know, when we did our challah video a few weeks back, we used that to measure most of our dry ingredients. It's going to give you really nice consistency. It's going to be repeatable. You know, there are advantages to it. But it's definitely something to worry about from a measuring utensil perspective down the road, not necessarily to start your kitchen.
That's right. All right, so let's see what's next.
Woohoo! Coming in at number 9 is mixing bowls. This seems a little bit obvious and really simple, but we just can't overstate enough how important it is to have a good set of bowls at your disposal in the kitchen.
And lots of them. So the first thing when you're setting up your kitchen that you're going to want to look for is just a good set of glass mixing bowls that has several different sizes in it so that you've got a lot of options for your baking and cooking that you're doing.
As you expand from there, getting a set of stainless steel bowls that are going to be very resilient. You can use your hand mixer in them eventually. You can whisk things in them. You know, they're just going to put up with a lot of use and damage and heat and all kinds of different situations. That'll definitely be the next place to expand.
Absolutely. And then down on this end, we've got prep bowls in 2 different sizes. And as you've seen from some of our other videos, just being able to get all of your ingredients out, portioned out, chopped, mixed, you know, pre-beaten eggs, all that stuff just makes all of your cooking so much easier.
Let's see what's next.
Okay. Number 8, we are looking at just basic kitchen utensils. So these are all the things that you're going to use to mix, stir, and serve your food.
This category is really broad, but if you're starting your kitchen, you want to start with a set of wooden spoons. For one thing, it's really cheap, and you can get a really wide variety for not a lot of money. They're also going to be really versatile. You can use them on whatever pans you end up with. You can use them in any of your other mixing dishes or vessels, and they're going to get you through most of the mixing and stirring processes that you need to worry about.
From there, you can move into other things like serving spoons of different sizes and shapes, rubber spatulas and scrapers, whisks, and then like Doug said, there's a whole aisle in the store that you can go down and find just about anything that you want. But these are kind of the essentials that you start out with.
All right, let's see what's next. Coming in at lucky number 7 on our list today is the skillet and/or saute pan.
Now, when you're first starting out with your kitchen, you're probably going to want to start with a non-stick skillet. It's a little bit more user-friendly. They're a little more forgiving with your cooking, and they're a little bit easier to clean.
But if you're able to expand out and get a stainless steel pan, it's going to give you a little more versatility. It's a little bit higher heat. You're going to be able to use more aggressive instruments as far as metal whisks or metal spoons, anything like that. It's going to be oven safe, so you can put something in there and get it started, and then just move it right into the oven to finish cooking it there. So it's going to give you a lot of versatility, but it is going to be a little bit harder to keep clean. You are going to have some issues with some of the food sticking to it if you're not using it correctly, so that's a little bit more difficult, but definitely a little more versatile.
And then as you keep going through your cooking journey, you may end up getting into a little bit more on the higher end, and then you start looking at things like cast iron and carbon steel, which kind of combine the best of both worlds with both of these options. You can use them with higher heats. You can put them in the oven, but if you season them well, they are virtually non-stick.
Realistically speaking, and if money wasn't a factor, if we were starting a kitchen from scratch, that's probably where we'd start, is the cast iron and especially the carbon steel, just because of the versatility. But they are expensive. That being said, if you put the money down and buy a really good quality one, they're going to last you forever. So kind of like having the stainless steel measuring cups, those pans, buy them once, never have to worry about them again. There's a lot to be said for that.
Absolutely. Let's see what's next. For number 6, we are talking about pots and pans.
Specifically in this case, we are looking at the Dutch oven option. The reason we chose the Dutch oven as the place to start your kitchen is kind of like the last one. We looked at the versatility, what's going to last the longest, the cost-benefit ratio, all of that. And what it comes down to is the Dutch oven, especially a cast iron Dutch oven, is going to last almost forever, depending on what type you buy. And you're going to be able to use it for almost anything all your other pots and saucepans are going to use combined. Now, there are a few different options in buying a Dutch oven, but you certainly don't need to spend $400 or $500, which is easily possible on a Dutch oven. You can absolutely spend far less and still get a very good product that's going to last a long time.
Absolutely. And when you're looking at Dutch ovens, you kind of have the option between bare cast iron like this or one that's got an enamel coating. Now, the enamel coating is a little bit easier to take care of. It's a little more forgiving as far as food and things sticking to it. You just want to make sure that you're looking for one that is of a high enough quality that that enamel coating is going to last for a long time and it's not going to chip or scratch real easily.
On the other hand, if you're doing a bare cast iron Dutch oven, you can get one that's a really reasonable price because there's nothing special about it. It's just a nice piece of iron, and it's going to be versatile, and it's going to last a really long time, even if it's a really inexpensive piece. The downside to it is that it can take a lot more maintenance. You have to season it once in a while. You can't let it sit in water. Like, there's a few things you have to be aware of when you're getting just a bare cast iron, but you can get it for cheap. It is still going to be versatile, and you can use it for a lot of things, and it's going to last forever.
Once you move past just your one single pot, you can start piecing together a set on your own of different sizes of saucepans, stock pots, things like that. The other option that you can go with is you can get just a set of pots and pans, so that way you know you've got everything that all goes together that matches, and you've got a good variety of pots and pans to use for your cooking.
Well, if that's what comes in at number 6, I can't wait to see what's coming after that. Let's see what's next. Coming in at number 5 and getting a little bit more specific now, we're talking about baking sheets.
That's right. Now, when you're looking at baking sheets, you want something that's going to be this size. This is called a half sheet pan.
When it comes to these half sheet pans, you can spend a ton of money and get something super fancy with air inserts and special materials, or you can spend $3 and get some flimsy, weird, just kind of beat up piece of junk. You want to come in somewhere in the middle. You want something that's sturdy. You want something that has a good coating on it, but you don't, want something that's super expensive, because these are going to take a lot of damage, they're going to take a lot of abuse and get a lot of use. But because they're going to get a lot of use, they are very important, and you want to make sure you have at least 2 or 3 of those in the kitchen.
Well, things are really starting to heat up. Let's see what's next. At number 4, just to see how hot it really is getting in here, we're talking about thermometers.
With thermometers, there is a wide variety, but again, going back to it, if you're setting up your kitchen, the one thermometer you really want to have. It's just this digital quick read. They're cheap, you can find them all over the place, they're super easy, you just unfold them, stick them in, find out exactly what temperature your food is. Now, we kind of toss this around as far as including this in our top 10 list, but what it comes down to is when you first start cooking, you think you've got it all figured out, you know how long things need to cook for, how long things need to bake for, you know when things are done. And then you realize, you don't know. So having that available so that you can really teach yourself what those temperatures are and what the quality looks like is important. Make sure you grab one of those, easy to use, it's really going to improve your cooking.
Absolutely, and you're going to use that for meats, sauces, breads, making sure you don't kill your yeast, like all kinds of stuff. And then once you start expanding your kitchen, then you move into things like candy thermometers, you've got oven thermometers, digital thermometers with the probe, so you can leave the probe in while your food's cooking and the display's on the outside of the oven. You got all kinds of things that you can look for.
So now that we know how hot things are going to get on this list, let's see what's next. The next step down on the countdown is a very simple, very inexpensive, and highly underrated piece of equipment, the box grater.
Now, when you're looking at those kitchen essentials lists on a lot of other YouTube channels, they really favor this. It's called a microplane, but we tend to like the box grater. If you get one that's got multiple sides on it, it's got a microplane, and then it's also got several other sizes of holes that you can use for a lot of different things.
Now, a lot of people look at this and they think, hey, Taco Tuesday, I'm going to pull this out, I'm going to shred my cheese for our tacos. But there's a ton of different things you can use this for. You can use it for onions, you can use it for tomatoes if you're making salsa, you can flip it around, you can zest citrus fruit the same as you can on the microplane, or you can do ginger or garlic. I mean, just about anything. It's very versatile. It cuts down on a lot of time from having to chop things up into tiny little pieces, and it's really cheap. It's easy to find one. And it's going to last you a long time. This is absolutely something that in a new kitchen, you're going to want to have on hand.
Absolutely. All right, let's get ready to see what's next. Before you get bored with the rest of this list, coming in at number 2, cutting boards.
So going back to if you're starting your kitchen fresh, one of the first things you're definitely going to want to have is a good set of just plastic 2-sided cutting boards. You want to have one side that has a groove. You want to have one side that's flat. These are going to make everything easier. It's going to protect your counters. It's going to protect your fingers. It's going to protect your food. You just absolutely have to have these in the kitchen to make things work.
And then once you want to start stepping things up in your kitchen a little bit, you can step up to a wooden cutting board. You can get some of these really nice, thick hardwood cutting boards they're beautiful. They're a pleasure to work on. You can get them just enormous, and they're real easy to take care of. If you do go with a wooden cutting board, you are going to want to still keep a couple of plastic ones around because you can't use these to cut raw meat.
These also can be fairly expensive, and these ones you can replace every couple of years for just about nothing.
Since we're apparently now being funny, before this next joke falls flat, let's check out our honorable mentions.
Yay!
No respectable top 10 list is complete without a couple of honorable mentions, so let's go ahead and take a look at what almost made the list for us.
The first thing we've got is a good set of strainers. They are super nice to have, but you can get the job done without them.
Next up, we have the immersion blender. These are really convenient. They're nice to have when you need them, but it comes down to the fact that you can usually find a shortcut and grab something out of the drawer that'll do roughly the same thing. So it just didn't quite mix its way into the conversation.
The next thing on our list is probably a little outside of the box for most other people, but it's something that both of us use quite a bit, and that is a sous vide. It's also called an immersion circulator. It's just a really good way to have real precise control over a lot of the foods that you cook.
Next up, we have just your standard blender. As useful as this is, and as big of a specific use that it holds, you're not going to use it for every meal. You're not going to use it for every dish. It's just those things you really need it for that you really need it for. So because of its specificity, it didn't quite get onto our top 10.
And then the last thing actually was on the list, but then it didn't quite stand up to the rest of the competition. And that's the stand mixer. Now, that is a super versatile, really useful piece of kitchen equipment that if you have one is going to save you a ton of time. It is definitely more expensive than I think anything else that we've talked about here today. But if you're going to spring for one, get a good quality one, and it'll last for a long time. You'll love it.
So all those being on the honorable mention list, let's clear this out and take a look at what made the cut for that number one spot.
Slicing and dicing its way to number one, the chef's knife.
Now, like we mentioned at the beginning of this video, the other 9 items on this list, while all essential, they're all kind of even. You need them all. They all kind of work together. You got to have them to complete your kitchen, but they're pretty similar as far as their importance. This, on the other hand, is a clear number one for this list. And of course, that is the quality 8-inch chef's knife.
Now, when you're shopping for a chef's knife, you'll see them anywhere from 6 to 10 inches. And for us, the 8-inch right in the middle of that range is the sweet spot for what you're looking for. You're going to be able to use a knife like this for 90 to 95% of the cutting that you're going to do in your kitchen.
With an 8-inch chef's knife, you're going to be able to spend a couple $100 on it if you want, or you could probably spend $12 on it if you want.
I saw them for $8 in the store the other day.
See, you can get them for cheap. But if you get it for cheap, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get a cheap knife. These are one of those things where you really get what you pay for, especially in that middle part of the price bracket. So as you get a little more expensive, you're going to get a better handle material. It's going to be more comfortable. This is a knife you're going to spend a lot of time with. And if it's not comfortable, you're going to get sores on your hand. It's going to cause calluses. It's going to cause, your wrist to be sore, all kinds of different things if you don't like the shape of it. So find one that fits you. Find one that has good handle material. Find one that has good steel, something you can put a really good edge on, but it's going to hold that edge so you don't have to worry about sharpening it every time you pull it out of the drawer or every time you pull it out of the sheath. You really want something that's going to last you a long time, and you're only going to find that if you put at least a little bit of money into it.
Now, you may be tempted to, instead spring for a big knife block that's got a whole set of knives in it. And I think both of us would steer you back to the direction of just sticking with the chef's knife for now. you know, that's going to give you a chance to really learn how to use that knife and learn all the different things that it can do. And that way, you're not just sitting there staring at this giant block of knives that have all these knives in it that you have no idea how to use.
The other knives in that block absolutely have a function. The Santoku is great for using vegetables. You know, you need that paring knife. You need a carving knife when you're getting into the turkeys, anything like that. They all have their place. There's no question. And as you get used to cooking and you figure out what you like and what you don't like, you can start expanding your knife collection. But when you're starting out, this is going to cover the vast majority of your needs and is definitely going to be the most important piece.
So that being said, that's our top 10 list of kitchen essentials. Let us know down in the comments what your essentials are. And if you are out there shopping for things and you need some advice as far as where to find things or the kinds of things to look for when you are shopping, let us know and we will help you out as much as we possibly can. So until the next time, hit us up on Instagram and Twitter and use some of this stuff to help you skip the shortcuts.
That sounds good. Thanks, guys. So if you've stuck around to this part in the video, you get to know the real #1 secret to this whole process. Good butter dish. That makes the difference in everything you make. This is the #1. You gotta have it. Splurge, spend the big money on the good Tupperware one. Yeah, that's where it's at.